It's just staggering. You know, since 1965, 28 million people on Earth have been charged with a marijuana offense, and 7 million of them have gone to jail for some length of time. And as I've told you already, people have been murdered and killed in jail for as little as marijuana possession. What? For the billions and billions and billions of dollars that were spent, for all the cruelty that was demonstrated to millions and millions of people, what was the benefit to everyone else for that massive pogrom that exceeds all other hatreds in the history of mankind? Because there haven't been 28 million people of any other culture in the history of this planet that have been hunted down like dogs in the space of 50 years, persecuted unanimously, had their house taken away, their kids taken away, their jobs taken away, jailed, urine tested, put on, surveilled. It's never happened before. There's no other group that has had that many victims of a planet of elected governments. What is it about us? As I'm going to tell you, they owe us so much. It's that horrible thing. We've done so much for the world, so many beautiful things I'm going to tell you about, that they just can't stand it. They're inferior, yet we don't dwell on it, we don't lord it over them. They're violent, they're hatred, they manipulate governments to cruelly torture people whose only sin is they believe in this great plant that was put here and has been cultivated in Canada for 400 years. Cultivated in this country for 400 years. It was the first plant that was put in the ground when Samuel Champlain arrived in Quebec City in the early 1500s. They put down hemp right away. In the old days, before the cotton gin was developed in the 1740s, everything people of the past wore was made of kenaf, sisal, flax, jute, and cannabis hemp. Jesus wore cannabis hemp in the biblical period. There was no cotton. They wore hemp because it was heavy, it was durable, it lasted a long time, and hemp grows everywhere throughout the Middle East, and did at that time. In the biblical period, it goes back as far as 5,000 years. Carl Sagan, a pothead, who's all 7 scientific theories that are accepted in the pantheon of science, developed them. His wife has said to me, he used to smoke a big bomber and walk into the shower, turn on the water, and in the hot water, the steam, he'd write his scientific formulas, all 7 of the ones, after a big bomber. Well, Carl Sagan said that marijuana was the first husbanded or cultivated crop of the human. It was the first thing that in agriculture was ever developed. They have found mummies in Uyghur, China, the place where we have currently cropped. They have found shamans that were carrying marijuana, and it's been perfectly preserved, in tombs from 5,000 years ago. Everybody wore hemp. Sales, nowadays we go around the world by planes. Imagine every plane on the planet that flies daily. We have over 10,000 planes go up in the air. And I'm not fronting they're not safe. Considering 10,000 planes go up in this planet every day and almost none of them crash, it's a miracle. The law of aerodynamics is one of the most wonderful laws ever discovered and developed and worked on. But in the old days, they had boats to do all that, ships to do all that. Every single ship that plied the seas had massive sails that was hundreds of square feet of cloth, canvas. The word canvas comes from cannabis. And canvas cloth, hemp made, was on every single ship in the world. It's why Napoleon invaded Russia, to get the hemp fields of the Ukraine and the Caucasus and the lower parts of Russia, because Britain had blockaded all the ports of Europe from French ships. And now they couldn't be rigged. Every old ship had a massive rope to tie the anchor to, 4 inches thick, made of cannabis hemp. It would require acres and acres of hemp alone to make those ropes. Every ship that sailed the seas, that delivered the pioneers to Canada, that delivered all the goods from around the world, that gave the British Navy its power and made us an English language country, was because of cannabis sativa hemp was used to equip those ships. And whoever had the hemp dominated the seas. The United States, it's ironic in so many ways that I'm being taken to the United States to face 5 years minimum. And by the way, I'm going to tell you, I would have faced 25, 50, 100 years if I didn't take this deal. This deal that they're requiring me, they actually charged me with 3 things. Money laundering, which was all that money I gave away, which is crazy, but that's what they say, it's all money laundering, right? I guess because it's going to their enemies, actually. And they also charged me with conspiracy to distribute marijuana and conspiracy to manufacture marijuana, meaning my seeds go to someone, they grow it out, and it becomes marijuana, I'm part of a conspiracy. Well, they all had mandatory minimums on, 25 years. And the DEA was on Lou Dobbs one night saying, Marc Emery produced in our estimation, 1.1 million pounds of marijuana worth $3 billion. $3 billion, and I hope it's true. I hope it's true. That was the idea. That was the idea. Now, how they exactly know is, of course, a mystery, since they don't really know anything about where these seeds went or what was done with them, but they don't need to. Again, it's not about the truth with government. It's not about the truth with the drug war. It's all about making the sinners pay. It's all about making the sinners pay.